I'll show you how it's done. Shazam!
Hey, what's going on, YouTube world? Welcome back to our channel here at Underdeveloped, and today we are reviewing it again, another movie, and this movie is F1, Formula One, with Mr. Brad Pitt and Mr. Snowfall, Damson Idris as the two leads, and of course Javier Bardem. And I'll get to the rest of the cast later. This is directed by Mr. Joseph Kosinski.
Yep.
He directed a little indie film called Top Gun Maverick, which kind of made $1.4 billion.
Mm-hmm. He also directed movies I saw back when they came out. Tron, Legacy, and Oblivion.
Oh, wow. I know you're making a new Tron, so I gotta see those Trons.
Basically, the story of F1, this completely fictitious story based on the real sport, is about this driver played by Brad Pitt named Sonny. He has some trauma and history as he was a big Formula One driver back in the 90s. He was sort of a rising star who got into a car crash and has had some sort of PTSD ever since then. But now, after all these years, his friend Javier Bardem is bringing him back into Formula One so he can help his team, which has been in last place consistently. So now Brad Pitt has to teach Damson Idris to be more professional, to work together as a team, and they bond with each other, and they eventually just kind of go through all the steps of basically any body comedy where they'll wear each other at first, then they have a bit of a falling out, then they come together, and then they eventually team up and try their best to win the big one. And that's effectively the story of F1.
Yep, and okay, so we think about it. Thoughts? So, F1, I mean, I was excited. I was going into this movie, I was pretty excited. The trailers kind of excited me, and I've been a big champion of movies. I want movies to get back to where it is, and thing that we're not really talking about, we're in the indie boom, but we're not really doing too much with mainstream Hollywood movies anymore, big budgets.
Yeah.
This movie, technically, it's worth $300 million. This is a little too expensive for a car racing movie.
Yeah.
But streaming services like Apple, of course, these movies are tax write-offs anyway. We need to make money.
They really don't.
They're cool with throwing this $300 million for a car movie. They're cool to throw $200 million for Kills of the Flower Moon, which doesn't need that kind of budget.
Yeah, I think I want to say they gave Ridley Scott something similar for Napoleon, if I remember correctly.
Insane, but I could get that because the set piece was really incredible.
Yeah, but even then, that movie's so much more focused on his relationship with his wife.
Exactly.
There's so few moments of that.
These movies do not need to be expensive.
Nah.
You know what I mean? And for them to make a good bang for the buck, you got to be really reasonable with its budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So this is way over budget, but this movie still looks good. I heard that actually was put into actual Grand Prix, and that's pretty exciting. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that makes sense because I bet it would save money on trying to build all those tracks from scratch. Hey, let's just use the actual tracks. Fuck it.
Not just that, actual Grand Prix, actual races.
Yeah.
They were literally, I seen videos where they literally saying that they were filming a press conference scene while the real press conference scene was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The real press conference was actually going on in the next room. You know what I'm saying? That's how close they were to these Grand Prix.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it must have been something.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, really highlighted the absurdity of what they're really doing.
Yeah.
Fiction while the reality is going on right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the whole point of production. It's all fictitious, but when you put together and you see it in one, you feel it's real.
Yeah.
The whole thing's an illusion. It's a giant magic trick.
That's what movies are.
You know what I mean? Essentially.
Yeah.
It's an expensive magic trick.
And as someone who doesn't really watch any sort of racing, let alone Formula One racing, it seems realistic enough to the real thing to me. I'm not sure how much it would be to an actual F1 fan, but
of production.
Yeah.
That's what it is. What they do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And but aside that, this was amazing. This was an amazing experience to watch. Kind of gave me the same vibes in a way of how Top Gun was in terms of that was planes, which you really get to feel how real these planes really move.
Yeah.
It looked so good in Top Gun Maverick.
Mm-hmm. They did.
The cars look kind of really good. Really
they do.
Realistic, just like how it did in Top Gun Maverick. But this time for Formula One cars.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was So yeah, so since I've been a champion of movies, like I want these movies to win because we're an indie boom and these movies, big movies don't get that much love anymore because first a studio probably wouldn't even pay for this, so they had to go to the Apple for
Yeah,
it,
it's crazy the movie had to go to Apple.
Yeah,
of all people.
You know what I mean? Because like who's in the back it, like a.
Yeah,
You know,
like you don't see Warner Brothers doing movies like this.
Yeah,
no.
They either have to do it on something very established already. You know what I'm saying? Someone that's either already been a movie that was successful or a successful book.
Yeah.
Game, I'm sure that's some kind of like really built-in audience and fan base. Basically.
Yeah. I guess the built-in F1 audience wasn't enough to justify for most studios.
Yeah. But the race was cool. But yeah, this is like the problem with this movie is like what Nick said. Even though it's a good ride, you know what I mean, and it's fun to watch, and he does hit all the beats it needs to hit. That's also part of the problem. You know what I mean? Like this movie is kind of predictable in its nature. There's nothing. There's nothing new under the sun here. It's just the same old. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally could predict. Like I don't even have to watch this full movie. I could watch pieces and put together exactly what the hell happened.
Honestly, I think you could. It really is just that much. Like I feel like it could have just gone to the movie theater and watched this movie 20 years ago.
Like Past Lives is a movie that could have been like a more cliche, but they chose different paths that made the movie interesting.
Yeah,
it became a lot better for it.
Yes, it did.
I mean, this movie kind of did. And the movie just kind of just doubled down on it and it's going and it easily made the movie uninteresting. You know, so agree.
Yeah,
but the chemistry was still there. The racing was still there. It was for what it was. It was fun to watch.
It was. Like I'll give the movie its props. It is certainly entertaining. Like you're not going to go into this movie and be bored by the end of it.
Yeah.
Even though it is long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an entertaining ride. If you're craving that classic Hollywood feel of a movie, which is admittedly something that we have kind of gone away from in a lot of movies, I don't think too many movies capture that well anymore. This is certainly a movie that does capture that spirit well, so if you're in that kind of mood and you really want to see it, then I guess I'll just recommend it to you, because it just seems this movie just hits that spot. It really feels like something could have come out in the 2000s.
I agree. You know, so if you feel that kind of nostalgia, this movie's for you. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all there is to say about this movie. I thought Damson was cool. I thought his storyline was alright. There's some motivation there with his family and stuff like that. The biggest thing is that he doesn't want to get replaced by an older dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't really make sense if you really think about it. But I get it, at that point he was losing and he was feeling insecure.
Yeah. Exactly. Like he was insecure that he might get kicked off the team because he was losing, which is a fair insecurity, but at the end of the day, it's not like the biggest deal in the world.
I agree.
Like his stuff is kind of weak. Brad Pitt's stuff is kind of undefined mostly because you do have all this stuff where like every once in a while you like gleam into his PTSD and a little bit about his injury, but then like overall it's like the movie's trying to make some sort of point about like, oh, it ain't about the money. It's about like I don't understand what it is about for him. Like, does he like what drives him to race so much that it really is that passionate about it?
Honestly, some of it's like that. It's like when you're good at something and you love something. You know what I mean? Even though it probably even though it's connected to a lot of bad moments in your life. You know what I mean? You just can't help but get it out of your system, man.
I understand that, but this movie, like, multiple times brings that up. Like, what drives you? What drives you? And he never has an answer to it, and the movie itself doesn't seem to have an answer to it either. So I wouldn't be bringing it up if the movie itself didn't bring it up. If it was just, like, honestly, if the movie just never brought that up once, I wouldn't even question it. But since they do, and that answer refuses to be answered, I'm like, what the hell? This isn't an asking questions kind of movie. What are you doing? But, yeah. I'm actually kind of struggling to think of anything else to really say about it. It's one of those movies where you just kind of watch it and you'll know if you'll like it in the first couple minutes or not, I feel.
Yeah, essentially. One thing is way too many cuts in this movie, especially your earlier scenes. A lot of cuts going on, like 12 different cuts to like one freaking, following shot.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you really don't need, you know what I mean, that much.
It's a bit excessive.
Bit excessive. That was my only real pet peeve about it. Yeah, my only real pet peeve about it was that, they just used too much.
They do use a lot of cuts, like
a little too much cuts. Notice was like
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I like to let takes ride out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
More full frame.
Yeah.
Hollywood. used to be back in the days. You know what I'm saying? It was less
True.
frontal, more like.
But there are certainly movies that can make many cuts work, and it's part of a style. Like The Substance and Scott Pilgrim are both movies that do that a lot to like try and sort of justify as making editing part of their style. Yeah. But this movie doesn't really fully commit to that, so it probably shouldn't have had as many cuts as it does.
I agree. This felt a little too drawing, a little too inconsistent.
Yeah.
Damson and Brad, I think it's a good team. I wouldn't mind seeing again.
I wouldn't either. I think the cast has decent enough chemistry with each other.
I agree. Too. That was easily one of the most fun parts of the movie was seeing them interact and developing that relationship. Just like Top Gun, he gets the love interest early. I don't date men I work with. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, that's another cliche.
Very cliche.
But I mean, if you're gonna watch it, just accept it for what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like that's why I'm kind of praising the movie the way I am, because I don't want people to think like, oh, this is like an A24 classic of high character drama and super emotional. No, that's not what this movie is.
Low key schlock, like.
Yeah, it's Hollywood. It's cheesy, but it's a fun time, and it's trying to do a certain thing which we aren't always all about. But it is doing its thing well, and I can't fault it for that. So I think I'm going to give this movie somewhere in like the early 70s, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking like early mid-70s. I think probably like mid-70s.
Yeah, maybe like 75. I think that's fair. Yeah. A 75%, I think that's a perfectly fine score for a movie like this. It's not amazing or anything, but it's a solid movie on its own. And if you're interested at all in the subject matter, like if you just really want to watch a racing movie, this ain't a bad option. Frankly, you can have fun with it.
Yeah, it has heart, it has some humor, it has racing, really cool. I think someone that's really into that will really find this movie interesting and fun.
I agree. So if that's the kind of movie you want to see, then support it now while it's still in theaters.
Yep.
Remember, always support your local movie theater. When you see a movie you want to watch it, because that's how you get more movies made. Speak for your wallet, folks. That being said, hit the like and subscribe button, and we catch you next time.
Catch you next time for the next review and or video.